producer Sydney Bowles here for another edition of our Community Update series, where we speak with leaders in the community about a variety of topics as necessary and as we see fit. I'm joined this week by Rabbi Susan Abramson of Temple Shalom Emeth, here to talk about Passover and what's been going on over there. So Susan, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks so much for having me.
So for those who may not be familiar, can you talk a little bit about the story of Passover and its significance?
Yeah, so the story of Passover is basically the story of our ancestors' liberation from slavery and Egyptian bondage, because as we know the story from the Bible, Jews were living in the land of Egypt and they became too numerous, and there was a new Pharaoh who made them slaves and made the Israelites build pyramids, and so the story goes that there was a baby, all the baby boys were supposed to be killed because there were too many Israelites, but Moses' mother put him in a basket and sent him down the river, and Pharaoh's daughter fished him out of the river, and so he became a leader of the Jewish people and found out that he was Jewish, and so he went out of Egypt, and at a burning bush in the desert, God told him to go back and lead the Israelites out of Egypt. So he came back and with his brother Moses went to Pharaoh and asked him 10 times to let the Jewish people go, the Israelite people go, and 10 times Pharaoh said no, until the 10th plague, which was the death of the firstborn. And so the Israelites were spared from that plague, and at that point Pharaoh enabled them to go free. So, and then they crossed the seas parted, they raced through the Red Sea to freedom, and so we recount our liberation from bondage, and it's really a symbol of, particularly today, and actually throughout Jewish history, of the fact that we re-experience every year at Passover going from bondage to freedom, from sorrow to joy, and feeling, we're supposed to each feel as if we're being liberated personally every year on Passover, to feel the angst and the oppression, and then to feel the joy of liberation. And so that's really a paradigm for what's happening today in so many ways.
Yeah, it feels like a particular time for that. So can you talk about that, all the context and all the stuff around Passover this year?
Yeah, so this year practically every single symbol of the Passover Seder has taken on additional meaning and very personal meaning for us, because we feel after October 7th, we feel that we were attacked and oppressed in a very particular way, and then subsequent to that, we feel like the people in Gaza are victims as well, and so we feel for our own people who are killed. We feel for the innocent lives which have been lost among those who we were fighting against, and it goes way beyond that, because so we're supposed to eat bitter foods at a Passover Seder. It's called maror, which means bitter, and so we feel the bitterness of this point in time and how we're all feeling embittered in so many ways. And in the Seder it says, "Let all who are hungry come and eat," and we think about all those starving in Gaza right now, and we think about all the people who we're supposed to break a matzah, the flatbread that we eat, and we break it to form the afikomen, and which is, it's called dessert, but we feel like we're broken in a very particular way this year, and we're separated from parts of ourselves which used to be intact, and we also feel like we're separated from some friends and neighbors who we just feel our relationship has been broken with them, because people have differing opinions, and people sometimes blame us as Jews for everything that Israel does, and so there's so many ways in which this year all the symbolism takes on a very personal meaning.
Yeah, Susan, Rabbi Abramson, I feel like the last time we talked about this, you and I, was shortly after October 7th, and I said the same thing to you then, which is I want to come to this conversation with a ton of humility and curiosity, as someone who tries to be informed but sort of feels overwhelmed by all of the pieces of context and all of the decades and generations, centuries of history that I'm sort of scrambling to absorb and sort of feel tentatively like I'm trying to grasp at a holistic understanding. And I think I can speak for a lot of people when they, with that sense of like, I want to understand, I don't know if I understand, and I feel, you know, do you have guidance for people like me who are trying to hold all the pieces of this with compassion and curiosity and maybe don't know how to engage or how to think about it all?
Yeah, I think the way to approach, like somebody who's Jewish, for example, is just to be a friend, you know, and I feel like we've been undergoing continual trauma. Like we've been in grief or we've been in mourning for the past 7 months, like every single day. It's like you know, every single time I know like an Israeli soldier dies, like I feel like they're part of my family, and every time I see innocent Gazans dying, I feel horrible, like I mourn for them as well. So I think to have your heart open to each person and just to understand the complexity of what they're going through, and there are so many different layers. I can't even explain all the layers to you, and certainly seeing it from the outside, it's impossible to know all the layers. And as Jews, we have intergenerational trauma from the Holocaust and from many times before that and afterwards. Anti-Semitism's at an all-time high right now, and we see what's going on college campuses today, and Jews being afraid to walk on many Ivy League college campuses because they're afraid that because of the tension and mob mentality that somebody with a political perspective could become something else and be like physically dangerous. So trying to hold all of that and just a situation that's changing, not to mention the hostages. And one thing that we're having this year that we've never had before is we have an empty seat at our table to symbolize the hostages who can't be there, and to symbolize all those who were killed on October 7th, to symbolize all the innocent people who were killed since then who will never be able to be at our table, to symbolize a place that our friends, some friends of ours used to sit at, but are not there right now because we're separated from them. So all of those are additional symbols this year, which kind of symbolize like how many different layers there are to all this. And the empty chair also symbolizes how we personally have changed. We're no longer the same people that we were before. Like something of us has also died in a sense. So we look at that empty chair and think about how we are no longer the same people as we were before. And I also look at it as the empty chair as a sign of hope. That because we're supposed to end the whole Passover holiday with on a note of hope, like we say next year in Jerusalem, and next year may we all be free, and next year may we all be healed. And we think about hopefully next year maybe there'll be somebody new sitting in that chair, or a friend which we hadn't had before, who we've become friendly with because of this situation. So
that's really lovely.
So they're all so many different levels.
So you held a Seder at the temple earlier this week. How did it go?
It was great. We had about 110 people, which was one of our largest numbers ever. We had the room was completely filled. We had a lot of new people. I think, unfortunately, because of everything that's been happening, a lot of people have felt that they want to draw closer to the Jewish community. A lot of Jews have reached out to me and just joined our community in ways in which they never would have before. There was a lot of enthusiasm. We do a special Haggadah that I wrote called Haggadah Get Out of This Place, and it's all rewritten 60s music. So, and I have the kids up and dancing during the Seder, and the kids get up to ask the four questions, which all Jewish kids know, and they run to the front door to open the door for Elijah, which is a symbol of hope. The ghost of Elijah is supposed to come visit the Seder.
Can I ask what the 4 questions are?
Well, so there are 4 questions, and they're like, why is this night different from all other nights? So they're just 4 questions about why we do things differently on this night than we do at any other night of the year. So, and of course, in good Jewish fashion, we ask the 4 questions, but we never answer them. we go on to tell the story of the Exodus from Egypt. And this year we kind of say, why is this year different from all other years? So there are many different levels. But anyway, I think having a joyous Seder is a real symbol of resilience. And it's extremely important for us to show that we're not going to let this ruin our spirit or ruin the essence of what it means to be a Jew. We're going to intentionally enjoy this time in a way that we never have before, to show that all of this cannot dampen our spirits.
Rabbi Susan Abramson, thank you as always for coming in and chatting with us.
My
really
pleasure.
Appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me.
This has been another edition of our Community Update. I'm Sydney Bowles. This has been our conversation with Rabbi Susan Abramson. Thank you very much.